Subscribe to the channel before watching. We make our viewers think. At the end of the video, we will ask you the main question. In analyzing the impact of personal sanctions on Russian oligarchs and officials, it becomes evident that these measures have failed to turn them against Putin's regime. While broader economic sanctions have gradually eroded the regime's economic foundations, the case for personal sanctions remains less clear. Although it is crucial to hold accountable those directly involved in war crimes and repression, the inclusion of numerous Russian wealthy individuals on sanctions lists appears excessive. Currently, the UK, EU, and the USA have imposed sanctions on a staggering number of people and entities. One flawed assumption was that personal sanctions would influence the oligarchs to pressure Putin for a change of course or even turn against him. However, most oligarchs are not truly independent business people but rather hand-picked cronies strategically placed in key sectors of the economy. Genuine entrepreneurs, aware of the potential consequences, lack the autonomy and power to challenge Putin's authoritarian state. The few oligarchs who initially expressed concerns about the war did so ambiguously, wishing for an end to the bloodshed and stressing the importance of negotiations. Ironically, personal sanctions, visa restrictions, travel bans, and asset seizures have left these individuals even more reliant on the Kremlin. They are unable to travel abroad, and their remaining wealth mostly resides in Russia, making it vulnerable to Putin's control. Additionally, their wealth often depends on government contracts. Ideally, people should be willing to stand up for what is right, regardless of the personal or economic cost. However, the reality is that many individuals share this sentiment but lack the courage to take action. While this may be deplored, it must be acknowledged. Efforts should be invested in encouraging prominent Russians to break with Putin, yet the West is struggling to formulate a cohesive strategy for this. The sanctioning powers lack clear criteria for individuals to be removed from the sanctions list, hindering progress in this regard. Recently, the UK took a step by lifting sanctions on Russian banker Oleg Tinkov, who renounced his Russian citizenship, sold his share of the bank, and publicly condemned Putin's invasion. Another prominent figure, Arkady Volozh, co-founder of tech giant Yandex, residing in Israel, is also appealing for the lifting of EU sanctions against him. However, his attempts to manage a sale of his stake in Yandex have been thwarted due to his open condemnation of the invasion. These cases raise the question of how more Russian billionaires can be encouraged to take a similar stance against the war. While some may argue that it is not particularly consequential, the fact remains that figures like Tinkov and Volozh hold influence, and their dissent could have a ripple effect. Their disappearance from Russian news after taking a stand has not gone unnoticed. Moreover, individuals like Tinkov and Volozh contributed to the development of the Russian economy during earlier Putin years, distinguishing themselves from the corrupt kleptocrats hampering progress. As Russia loses such talented individuals, its ability to respond effectively to the pressures of war and sanctions diminishes. In conclusion, personal sanctions have failed to turn Russian oligarchs against Putin's regime. The inclusion of wealthy individuals on the sanctions lists has inadvertently made them more reliant on the Kremlin, as their ability to travel and their remaining wealth are tied to Russia. Encouraging prominent Russians to break ties with Putin is a crucial endeavor, but the lack of a clear roadmap for the removal of sanctions hampers progress. The recent cases of Tinkov and Volozh highlight the potential impact of these individuals' dissent. It is essential to prevent the drain of skilled individuals from Russia to ensure the country can effectively respond to external pressures.